What's going on, everyone? And welcome. Exciting news in the world of Vermintide 2 because Fat Shark has just put out a really massive beta, which includes a great many number of reworks to both weapons and talents across a lot of characters. The weapons is going to kind of work like this. Like, ones that get chosen all the time, the quote-unquote meta weapons like Kruber's Executioner Sword, they're going to get a nerf to make it, more of an even playing field, and weaker weapons that do not get chosen all that much are going to get buffed. Just a little bit or a lot, depending on what Fat Shark feels they need to kind of keep them on a more even keel. Talents are kind of the same thing. Some of them are getting a little bit nerfed or just completely changed, and other ones that aren't chosen so much are probably going to get a little nice buff or a little different kind of ability to make them more appealing. So I figured we'd just go over the talents here, compare them from what they used to do to what they will be doing in the future. And the first one here is Have At Thee. These names are not going to be in the game as far as I can tell. The names are going to stay the same. So Have At Thee for Foot Knight used to give you a 15% increase in power when you staggered an elite. And now, when you stagger an elite, it increases the cooldown regeneration rate of the party by 100% for half a second. So basically, when you stagger an elite, everybody gets their ability back? Or do you just get like double speed for half a second? I think you just get double speed for like a little bit of time. I'm not completely sure about that, but that's what I think it does. And I'm a big brain guy, so I think I'm right. The next one down here, Tall's Champion. It used to give you a 10% increase in power, but you would lose all the damage reduction you would get with Foot Knight. And now, Kruber takes 50% of the damage the closest ally takes instead of them. This damage can be blocked, effect dissipates if Kruber falls below 10% health, removes passive aura. So it looks like you still lose your aura for damage reduction. I'm not sure if you lose No Guts, No Glory. I would assume you don't, but basically Kruber becomes like a giant sponge and can just take people's hits for them if he's close to them, which is actually kind of cool, I think. Obviously, you don't want it to happen when he's below 10% health because he could just die if somebody else gets hit, and that's kind of a bummer. But I like this talent. I'm probably going to use that quite often. The next one, It's Hero Time. Used to give you a 30% increase in movement speed when an ally went down. So instead of that, now you just get your dash back, basically, or your charge rather, when an ally goes down. So it's easier to get to them. You don't have to like cut your way through hordes. You can just knock them over, and it's way easier to pick them up. So that's a definite improvement to a talent that I almost never used. So good on you, Fat Shark. And then down here, Trample. It used to, when you charged and hit enemies, they would take 20% increased damage for 15 seconds. All enemies hit and knocked over by the charge. And now it doubles the width of Kruber's charge and allows him to charge through great foes. So you just knock more things over, it looks like. Pretty cool. That's Foot Knight. Our next character getting some reworks is Ranger Veteran, who I think was desperately in need of some reworks. So the first one, share and share alike, used to, when an ally picked up a survivalist cache, Barden would get 10% ammo. And now survivalist caches grant looks like an ale, which grants 3% attack speed and 4% movement speed for 300 seconds, and it can stack up to 3 times. So that's 9% attack speed, 4% movement, or 12% movement speed for 300 seconds. That's awesome. You can get drunk while doing a map. That's almost like a quiet drink right there. That's super cool. I'm going to be interested in trying that out. Also down here, Exuberance got a small rework. It used to just, when you got a headshot, you would get 30% reduced damage for 5 seconds. Now, Barden takes 30% less damage from behind, and headshots reduce all damage taken by 30% for 7 seconds. So I'm assuming if you get a headshot and then you get hit from behind, that's 60% reduced damage. Just my assumption there. I could be totally wrong about that. They might not stack at all. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming they do, which would be sweet, making this guy a lot more tanky. That's cool. Down here was Ranger's Ambush, which just increased disengage stealth to 15 seconds. Not really all that great of a talent. After the rework, grants allies inside Barden's smoke cloud 8% increased attack speed. So that's pretty cool. If you're good at staying by your team, get inside your range veterans cloud, you can attack a little faster. That'd be cool to do with like I don't know, somebody fast like an elf or something. That'd be pretty sweet. The other one over here that I'm really excited about is Ranger's Parting Gift, which used to let you, when you ulted, if you threw a bomb, it just wouldn't consume it for like one throw. So you could throw 2 bombs, which is kind of not that great. But now, after the rework, allies inside Barden's smoke cloud generate 8 temp health every second. This is an ult that lasts 10 seconds, by the way. So that's 80 temp health. If you have Decanter and a purple, you can get like it's 160 temp health. I mean, you can keep it going. Like, that's crazy. This is the talent I think that's going to make this guy a lot more fun, a lot more practical to use. I love this talent. I'm looking forward to using this myself. Our third character to get reworked in this beta is Ironbreaker. And the first talent is Dreki Wrath, which used to give you a 30% increase in power, but also a 30% increase in overheat for Drake fire weapons. And one quick side note before I read this. The shotgun blast for all Drake weapons and like Sienna's beam staff, things like that, has been reduced. The overcharge has been reduced by 33%. So you will be able to use your shotgun blast more often, like on the Drake pistols for this guy, which is cool. I like that. But the new talent, Dreki Wrath, overcharge grants a massive damage at the expense of the rate of fire. Removes overcharge slowdown, yada yada yada. So I actually happen to know the numbers on this one. So the damage increase, it goes up to 120%. So about a 20% increase. And then when you are overcharged, you lose 50% attack speed. So that's what that talent's all about. I kind of hope they specify that one a little bit in the description when they release this, but it's just me. The other one over here, Crushing Counterblow. When you blocked an attack, it used to give you a 5% increase in power for your next attack, which stacked up to 5 times, 25% increased power. Not a terrible talent at all, but the rework. Blocking an attack increases the power of Barden and his party by 2% for 6 seconds. Stacks up to 5 times. So you can get potentially a, if you like to block, a 10% increase in power for 6 seconds for the whole team. So less power, but it's a benefit for everybody. So more of an emphasis on team play, which I happen to like. I like being a team player, not just a solo hog. So that's pretty cool. Very good for Ironbreaker, I think. Down here, you have Ironbreaker's Resolve, which used to grant a 50% increase in stamina regen when Gromrel armor was activated. I don't think this was all that much of a chosen talent, but the rework periodically generates stacks of Rising Anger every 7 seconds when Gromrel is activated. When Gromrel is removed, Barden gains 10% attack speed per stack of Rising Anger. I believe the anger can stack up to 5 times. That's the number I seem to remember when I tried this out, but I could be wrong about that. I'm not so great with numbers, but if you have 5 stacks and you lose your Gromrel armor, guess what? You're getting 50% attack speed until the Gromrel armor comes back, I'm assuming. So, pretty dope. Also over here, Tunnel Fighter used to give you just a reduction in your Gromrel armor. So if it got removed, it would only take 13 seconds for it to come back. But with the new talent, each time Gromrel is removed, decrease the recharge time of Gromrel by half a second, down to a minimum of 5 seconds. So if you find you get hit a lot, each time Gromrel comes back, it's going to be a little shorter, and a little shorter, and a little shorter, from 20 seconds, like if you get hit enough times, obviously, all the way down to 5 seconds. So you could potentially be running this and get your Gromrel armor back in 5 seconds, which I think would be awesome. I mean, this is a really interesting talent that I'm going to want to try with Ironbreaker, because I really love Ironbreaker. And this seems very interesting to me, so loving this rework so far. Fourth on the list here is Handmaiden. Our first talent getting reworked is Azrai Grace, which used to give you a 15% increase in your cooldown regen rate if you used your dash near an ally. And I really hated what this talent used to be because I don't even know if it even worked right, but the whole premise of how you would even do this talent was kind of flawed in my opinion, because when you dash, most of the time people are dashing away from their team, not back to the team. So a rework I think was very much needed on this. And now you can block an attack. Blocking an attack makes Corellian's next 2 attacks 30% faster and have 10% more power. So on a high difficulty, say you're going to be blocking a lot, you get 30% increased attack speed on the next 2 attacks, which I don't know if that counts as 1 charge attack or 2 charge attacks. I don't know if that they mean like 2 attacks or 2 hits, but I'm assuming a 2 attacks, so let's just assume 2 charge attacks follow this. You get 10% more power and 30% attack speed on this, so that's pretty cool if that is the case. I am making a few assumptions in there, which I could be wrong about. Down here, Shadow Step. This one used to just give you a 20% increase in your dodge distance, and now, after the rework, dodging while blocking increases dodge range by 20%, and dodging while not blocking increases the power of your next strike by 10%. So this is kind of interesting to me because you can kind of choose like what you want to do. Do you want to just be able to dodge more? Block and dodge. You can go farther. If you want to be able to do a little more damage, do it like a little side dodge. Don't block. He'll do a back dodge if you want. 10% more power for your next strike. That's kind of interesting to me. I like that. And then down here, the infamous Blade Dancer. This was literally just a bleed dash. You would dash through enemies and it would do a little bit of bleed damage. It wouldn't even kill them. It was puny. It was not very well liked. Probably not even used that much. And now, after the rework, after dashing, Corellian can instantly revive allies for 10 seconds. If she does, they gain more health back and 50% critical strike chance for 5 seconds. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. Holy crap. So just making Handmaiden an even better team asset. I mean, this is freaking crazy to me. What an upgrade. Wow. Also over here you have Power from Pain, which when you dashed through enemies, you could get a 5% increased critical strike chance, stacking up to 5 times, so 25% for 10 seconds. And now, dashing through an enemy increases the cleave power by 100% or double for 10 seconds. So that's interesting. So it's a little bit less like, so less, you don't get the crits, but you can hit more things. So say if you have like a glaive, that would kind of come in handy. You can just cleave through a giant bunched up together swath of rats. I mean, that's pretty cool. So, but this one I think is the star of the rework so far. This is awesome to me. I cannot wait to try that. The 5th character to get reworked a little bit more heavily than the others actually is Bounty Hunter. Necessary Means used to give you a 25% increase in power when you ran out of ammunition, and now, upon firing his last shot, Victor gains 15% increased attack speed and 15% power for 10 seconds. So I think that's actually a little bit better. It doesn't last as long, but you get attack speed as well as some power. You don't get quite as much power, obviously, but I think that's pretty cool. And will go very nicely with some talents he has down below, which we'll get into in a bit here. But first, Inspired Shot. Used to, melee kills would reset the cooldown of blessed shots, so I'm guessing like each kill would take a certain amount of time off the cooldown there. I don't know, I never really used it. I think that's kind of the point. So now, after the rework, melee strikes makes up to the next 6 range shots deal 15% more damage. So I'm assuming each hit from a melee weapon, up to 6, would make the next 6 shots do 15% more damage. That's pretty cool. And then likewise, ranged hits makes up to the next 6 melee weapons deal 15% more damage. So you shoot 6 bullets from the brace of pistols, the next 6 melee strikes deal 15% more damage. That's my assumption just based off of me reading this. I have not tested any of this by any stretch of the imagination. I could be dead wrong about a lot of this, but I think I'm right. And that's what counts. Down here, Hunter's Pursuit. Ranged crits used to give you 20% movement speed for 10 seconds, and now ranged critical hits grants victor's allies 20% increased movement speed for 10 seconds. I'm assuming Saltspire is also included in this movement speed buff, but this is actually a much better talent because it makes everyone move quickly and at the same speed. So if you're good at coordinating, you can kind of all move together. So that's actually quite nice. I like that. Over here, Duty's Gift. Melee kills reloads Victor's range weapon. And this is going to work really nicely with this and with this, because you're just going to be able to like unload your ammo, do whatever you want. Because with this, I'm just assuming like one melee kill would restore like one bullet to the brace of pistols or something. So if you want to run the heck out of ammo, get a little bit of attack speed and power for 10 seconds, kill some stuff, get some bullets back, boom, more damage. Oh yes, this is nice. This is very nice. And then down here, Just Reward. It used to, ranged crits would lower the cooldown of Locked and Loaded by 15% every 10 seconds. It would be able to trigger. And now, each 30 seconds, Victor generates a target on an enemy. Killing the target grants Victor permanently 10% faster cooldown rate. This, I guess they haven't quite fixed it for the Beastmen yet, but the premise would be, obviously, every 30 seconds, Victor would be able to grant, or to get a permanent 10% faster cooldown rate on Locked and Loaded for his single shot, which is interesting. Also, obviously you still have double shot it. And then the final one over here, the new version of Buckshot. So Buckshot used to just be like this shotgun blast. It would fire 2 pellets basically, and it would give you a 25% cooldown on your Locked and Loaded there. After the rework, the new shotgun modifies Victor's sidearm to fire 2 blasts of shield-penetrating pellets in a devastating cone. Each kill with the blast increases the amount of pellets in the next blast. So, if you're going to be using this one constantly, you're going to be doing more and more and more and more with the pellets, and that could potentially be something quite devastating if you stack it up enough, as I'm assuming it can just stack infinitely. It doesn't say it has any kind of stack limits. That's interesting. I'm going to be wanting to try that out for sure. Last but not least on our list of reworked characters here is Unchained. Her talent, Searing Grasp, used to just be like when you pushed an enemy, it would do a light burn effect over time. It was kind of like 1 tick of damage for 4 or 5 seconds or something like that. And now, after the rework, a heavy attack grants the next push attack a wider arc and ignite enemies with a lot of damage over time effect. So the damage itself isn't increased, but I could see this being good with like the fire sword or the dagger or something to do an easy little charge attack. You get a bigger push radius so you can actually ignite more things, like a big horde or something, on fire. So a marginal improvement maybe, but interesting. Interesting to mess around with. Chain reaction here. Just as it says, burning enemies have a small chance to explode upon death. Now, this has pretty much just been an increase in the percentage chance of this to happen. So it used to be somewhere between 10 and 20%, I believe, and now it has been increased to a solid 40%. So 40% chance for burning enemies to explode upon death, I think makes this talent very nice. In a giant horde, 40% chance for burning enemies to blow up. I mean, that works with the staff, that works with your melee weapon. That can be quite nice. And when they explode, they don't actually do any damage to enemies around them. They just kind of stagger them a little bit. So it helps to just be able to take them out. They don't attack you. It's a little bit of a lifesaver kind of thing. But it's interesting. It's fun. I like chain reaction. I like it even more now. Down here, Numb to Pain. Used to, when you took damage from venting, you would get a 5% damage reduction, stacking up to 3 times, so 15% damage reduction, just from your overcharge damage when you would vent. So now, reduces damage taken by 5% for 15 seconds. After taking damage from venting overcharge, also reduces overcharge gained from blood magic by 16.6%, stacks up to 3 times. So when you vent, basically, you get the 5% up to 3 times for 15 seconds. So 15% damage reduction at max stacks. And you get 16.6 times 3. Somebody do that for me. It's late. I'm tired. You get that reduction in your overcharge generation, which is the one thing I honestly think Unchained has been lacking for a long time, is a way to generate less overcharge, because she blows up so quickly. One big hit can damn near overcharge her. So this, I think, is going to be my new favorite talent on Unchained. Down here, the Burning Dregs. This used to let you, when you drop below 50% health and you overcharged, it would clear it for you. It would kind of save your life, and it could only trigger every 60 seconds. After the rework, when Sienna overcharges, she starts rapidly exchanging health for ability cooldown. So I take that to mean when she's at that kind of precipice level where she's about to blow up, she just begins to lose health quickly until you can vent. Which I think I like better than just kind of banking on, did I lose half my health, or did I lose 1 health too less, not enough, and I blow up and die. So I think I like this one a little bit more than that. Definitely an upgrade. Down here, Flame Wave used to just give you a 50% increase in your radius for Living Bomb, and now it massively increases the stagger power of Living Bomb. So I'm taking that to mean that's quite like Crunch on Slayer, where you just get in the middle of a horde, you ult, and it can knock everything back, except now they're on fire as well. So that's what I take that to mean. It might be a little bit different in theory. I have not tested any of this out. And then last but not least, Fuel for the Fire. So it used to be you would get a 5% increase in your power, stacking up to 5 times, so 25%, for 10 seconds for each enemy hit by your ult. And now, Living Bomb grants Sienna a Scorching Aura that ignites enemies for 10 seconds. So pretty interesting. I think I'm guessing if you just get close enough to an enemy, you can set them on fire. I'm not sure how much damage that would do, but I'm assuming it would be hopefully a good amount, because it is her ultimate, and it's got a long cooldown on it. So I'm expecting this to be quite a bit of damage there. But yeah, that's all the talents that have been changed in the beta. I might go over some of the weapons in another video, but for now, that's all we have, folks. Take care.